Good afternoon. Welcome to our session called Praying in the Mountains, and we are surrounded by beautiful mountains, the Austrian Alps. We are in the national park. It's called Hohe Tauern National Park in Austria, in East Tyrol, Osttyrol, as the Austrian people say. And just behind me you see the peak, the summit of the highest mountain of Austria, Großglockner, the big bell, nearly 4,000 meters high, just over there. Yep. My name is Father Robert Opala. I am a Carmelite friar from Oxford, and I'd like to share with you something about this idea of praying in the mountains. So let's begin this session with a question, a very simple question. Why is prayer in the mountains so important? Sometimes we can say prayer in the desert. So why is prayer in mountains or in the desert so important in Christian spirituality? And we can also ask, it is important only in our spirituality, Christian spirituality, or just it is important at all? I would like to reflect on this question together with you. Why mountains are so important for our spirituality? I think every mountains are important, not only the beautiful Alps, but also in England, when we go to the Lake District mountains or to the mountains of Snowdonia in Wales or in Scotland, of course, in Ireland. Every mountains, I believe personally, but there are also plenty other people, theologians and philosophers and psychologists who believe that mountains are very important in human spirituality, not only Carmelite or Christian spirituality. So at the beginning I would like to share with you why mountains are important in my own spirituality, why they are important for me. I believe that they are important because I experience something in the mountains that strongly influenced my own spirituality. It happened one summer morning when I was sitting alone at the foot of Großglockner, but on the other side. We are now, this is the north face, the north part of Großglockner, but that was 2007. So 7 years ago, I was alone, walking alone on the south slopes of Großglockner. And I was sitting at the foot of this beautiful mountain, surrounded by dark grey walls of cliffs and rocks, in a landscape which shortly after sunrise started to bleed. In this moment I understood why the beautiful alpine village in which I stayed during my summer holiday was named by the people living here Heiligenblut, that's the name of the village, and it means the holy blood. There is a fascinating legend about the village, but I learned much more about the true meaning of its name when I saw at that particular daybreak a wine-red sun shining through crystal clear sky. It seemed like the blood of Christ smeared over every peak, every rock, and every cliff around me. Probably since the time when the Celtic tribes lived in the Austrian Alps, people have recognized Großglockner as a sacred mountain, which is able to kill, especially if one wants to reach its summit without good preparation, but also to heal when we humbly come to it, seeking for inner peace and union with God. That particular morning, I did not intend to climb the mountain. I just wanted to experience the moment of stillness with my own thoughts, hoping to take at most a few photo pictures of the mountain and daybreak. After a whole hour of walking through quite a dark forest, I eventually got to the foot of Großglockner. I sat down on the rock in a remote place and was amazed by the real and almost painful emptiness that I experienced there. But there was also something else. There was something that I found quite difficult to describe and understand. In this painful emptiness, I also found something joyful and heart-lifting. The emptiness of a remote stony field at the mountain was vast, and its silence tried to sink into my heart like a sharp knife. The only thought that I had in my head was, it is true. The silence is real. I can touch it. It can actually hear it. I can actually hear it. I can hear the silence, and it heals my heart. Those who saw Into the Great Silence, a film about monks living in the monastic community in the French Alps, know what I was talking about. The silence of the remote landscape, like desert and mountains, can really inspire us to enter into the world of silently chanted psalms and prayers set deeply in our hearts. When the sun was high, I realized that I was sitting in the place which looked almost like a desert. It was actually a place where the mountain and the field of stones meet. In fact, the place where mountain and desert meet is not alien to the history of Christian spirituality. Indeed, in the Coptic language, the single word Tau is used to refer to mountain and desert alike. It tries to suggest that for the Coptic people, all terrain beyond the safety of the Nile River was regarded as very dangerous. Desert and mountains were recognized as a place of brokenness, where God had to act with much higher intensity than anywhere else. In my own experience, I can easily find such a place anywhere in the world. Not only at the foot of Großglockner, but in every hilly landscape that I visit, including the small mountains in the Lake District in England or Snowdonia in Wales. I would like to take you now to such a place. I understand that you understand the whole idea. We don't have to go now climbing Großglockner. We can climb the spiritual mountain in our heart. We can use our imagination. Why not to walk into the mountains in our mind and heart? We can find mountains and desert here as well, as we all have experienced emptiness in our lives, the emptiness in our hearts. Saint John of the Cross, Master Eckhart, Thomas Merton, and many other spiritual writers, speaking of emptiness of mountains, actually spoke of the emptiness of human heart, which means total detachment and nothingness. But the fact is that the physical presence of the reality of mountains can be helpful in the process of detachment from things in our lives. It is needless to say that the tradition of praying in the mountains is very rich in the history of Christian spirituality. We can find it in the writing of the Desert Fathers, the Cappadocian Fathers, then in the teaching of the first teachers of monastic life in the West, John Cassian, Saint Benedict. We can also find it in the writings of the German mystical masters, like Master Eckhart. As a Carmelite friar, I have to say that mountain spirituality is also very much present in the Carmelite tradition of prayer. We can see it especially in the teaching of the ancient hermits of Mount Carmel, Saint John of the Cross and Saint Teresa of Avila. All of these people have a great contribution in the development of teaching on the desert and mountain spirituality. But the most respected teachers on that spirituality and contemplative prayer were two men, a Greek philosopher, Evagrius, who lived in the eastern part of the Roman Empire, and John Cassian or Cassian, who brought the idea of monasticism to the Western Christian countries. I am going to surprise you a little bit now. Mountain spirituality is not, as many would think, about searching for God in the beauty of creation. Of course, you can see the beauty around me. But mountain spirituality is not about, let me repeat it, about searching for the beauty of creation in the mountain landscape. Of course, many people go into the mountains to praise the Lord when they see all the beautiful mountains and peaks. But it is not really mountain and desert spirituality that we can to explore here. So what then is it? So we just said that mountain spirituality is not about searching for God in the beauty of creation. So what is it? Mountain and desert spirituality creates something that is called the spirituality of wilderness. Spirituality of wilderness. Wilderness in a spiritual sense means a place of the genuine encounter of human heart with God. Mountains, clouds, desert, and sea, 4 of them are non-iconic images of God. They are used to replace the overconfidence in human words about God, and also to express metaphorically the deepest human experiences of pain and joy, which accompany all our true encounters with God. In the Judeo-Christian spiritual tradition, the mountain and desert images get their inspiration from the archetypal experience of Moses in the desert of Sinai, and of Jesus when he was tempted in the desert and when he used to walk in the mountains to pray to God. It has been developing during the whole history of Christian spirituality and is especially present in the spiritual writings of many generations of followers of Christ.